What's up, nerds? Welcome back to the channel. Today we want to talk about affordable, budget-friendly sonars. And you might be thinking, budget plus sonar equals...
unfriendly.
Unfriendly, and also not true. There's a lot of options out there. A lot of folks have actually been asking us in our comments on previous videos where we feature fancy sonar. They're like, stop showing me your Garmin 10-inch, 12-inch screens. I don't care about
Fair
those.
enough.
They're extremely unaffordable. And to that I say I hear you. So today we want to talk about our budget options that we also use. So we do use both ends of the price spectrum. We've got the super fancy boys from Garmin typically. So you have a 106 SV, I have a 93 SV, as well as a 126 SV. And what that means is they big screens. So we've got a 9, a 10, and a 12-inch screen. They are very expensive, especially if you want to add live scope or anything like that.
Doesn't even include the batteries.
Ridiculous. So a lot of folks don't want that, don't need that, they're not interested, and that's out of their budget. So what is in your budget? What are some other options if you wanted to find the fish and better understand the structure of your local lakes, ponds, rivers, etc.? There's a lot of options actually. So today let's look at the 5 most popular options or most accessible options that we can find from these main brands. So main brands we're looking at today will be like Garmin, Lowrance, Humminbird, and Deeper. And we're gonna go through what options they have for us. So let's get right into it. Should we start with castable sonars?
We can start with castable. We've got a lot of questions about them, and I've recently had the opportunity to test out the 2 newest versions. One of them is set up for pre-order right now. It has the Deeper Max. All right, so the 3 options that we've used from Deeper are the older model. So years and years ago, that was the Chirp or Chirp Plus 2, depending on which model you had. And then the one that I have been using for the last couple of months is the Pro Plus 2, which also has the chirp and everything else that you want to see in a castable sonar. And then the one that we just got our hands on after iCast, so that would have been in July, is the Deeper Max. And the Deeper Max has just a couple upgraded features. So the big one is 3D mapping. So not only,
kind of a big deal.
Yeah, not only do you have the ability to just sort of down scan and see everything, but you actually can, on a map, see all the 3-dimensional contours. You can record it and all that sort of thing too. So that's a big upgrade. And then it does the shoot a little bit further, and you get some upgrades in clarity and battery life, which is always a plus when you're dealing with a castable sonar. So the Pro Plus 2, which is a very good castable sonar, that's going to be $180 just for the unit. And then you can get a mount just like this. Well, you get this exact mount. This one's actually really cool. So you put this in the water and it kind of bobs with the water because this does float. And then you can either do a T-bolt, or they do have a clamp that it comes with for mounting it on things like canoes or just like awkward shaped things. And that's about $30 for that setup.
You can mount this on anything from a sit inside kayak or a canoe all the way up to a sit on top fishing kayak, which makes it a great option if you wanted to not have a full system for your sonar. Just something simple to pop on the track or not.
Absolutely. And if you're a bank fisherman and you're not always in a kayak or a boat, the top half of this is hollow. So when you open it up, this is how you're going to actually charge it.
There's secrets inside.
You can put your treats in there, but there is an air pocket.
Can you imagine using it for treats?
You come out here, there's a Jolly Rancher. Oh, great.
Perfect.
No, like I said, when you close this, it is waterproof. There's gaskets. It does a great job being waterproof, but there's air in there that traps inside, and that keeps it floatable. This one actually comes with a different color top, so you can spot it really easy, because what can you do with this? You can attach it to a fishing rod, or you can just chuck it out into the water with a string on it, and then you get sonar from the bank, which is a huge win for a lot of my carp fishing guys, cat fishermen, and just bass fishermen who want to get an idea of what the heck they're casting into.
Yep, so there's actually a little screw-in metal piece that has like a little D-ring on it.
Yep.
So you might want to use like a snap clip or something. You clip onto that. You can go ahead and cast that out if you want to, or you can do what I did the first time I got a castable sonar, is I just tied a little bit of rope to it.
Yep.
And I just did this.
Chuck it out.
Yeah. Flung it out there and then retrieved it.
All that information, there's no screen. Where does it transmit to? It goes to your phone. So when and they do have an app, and the app works, I think, pretty well. They had recently made an update to the app, and it does get a little bit glitchy sometimes. You'll randomly get like oh, that's out for like 2 seconds, and then it catches back up, and it's fine. I think every single app for all of human existence requires updates. So as they continue to get that feedback from people, they're going to continuously update it and make it better. And I've seen that happen with the prior models. And so we have seen app updates come through. So my overall opinion on this one, I think that's pros, extremely lightweight. I mean, this weighs absolutely nothing. And then this arm, as far as a hangover, like hanging over the side, it's actually one of the best ones. The quality is very good. the 3D mapping works pretty darn good. I still want to put some more time in it before I say like it's the greatest thing ever, but it does work very well, and it worked right out of the box first time, no calibration or anything. Another thing that can be a little bit tricky about that sonar, the biggest thing that I wish I had is the ability to change your ping rate or your refresh rate. Yeah. So like how fast is it scrolling? When I'm moving faster in the kayak, I'd like to be able to speed that up so that I'm seeing things in real time, not 200 yards behind me. That is probably the biggest thing that I'm like, man, I really wish I had that. Outside of that, when the app is working great, which is like 90% of the time it's working no problem, you're getting very clear downscan readings. I have really enjoyed it, and I think they're really crisp. I'll actually put one on the screen right now, just sort of a screen cap so you can see what it looks like. It's happening right now in real time.
Beautiful.
Enjoy
Whoa,
it.
There's a fish.
There are fish.
Right there.
And it does have like fish alerts and some of the other standard things that you would expect. The last thing I'll mention, $10, or it's $25 a year for the app. So you do have to pay, but you get like all uploaded maps. And every single lake that I've been on so far, all the local ones, are included in the mapping. That actually makes it, I think, one of the highest end as far as if you really want to have a GPS enabled map with you at all times. $280 or $180 because it's in the app, not the sonar. You're actually getting quite a bit of value for $180 or $280 depending on which model you go with. And we'll see that in the comparisons later on.
So we've talked about Deeper. It's kind of the most popular castable sonar right now. Garmin has one too, and this is really like, there's 3 out there really. There's iBobber as well, which we're not going to talk to. But there's Garmin Striker and there's Deeper. iBobber's fine. It's definitely the super budget option. So if you want like the less premium features, if you want to just have something that gets out there, gives you super basic 2D sonar, gives you an idea of what's going on, the iBobber is an okay entry point. There are definitely better options out there, which is why we're talking about Garmin and Deeper. Like, yes, they're a little bit more on the cost side of things, but you're also getting an insane amount of features.
The leap forward is gigantic.
It's a big jump. So if you're okay with going from around $100 to $150 or $200, then you're going to be able to access a lot more information. That's all we're suggesting. Buy it or don't. That's up to you. But the Garmin Striker Cast would be like the next most popular castable. Someone let us actually borrow that Garmin Striker Cast. So I had it for a couple of days, and I was like, look, out of the box, boom, tie it on, cast it out. Here's what I see on my phone, blah, blah, blah. I've read plenty of reviews on this. I had my experience with it for a couple of days, but I also leaned on other people talking to this as well. So the Garmin Striker Cast, you have 2 options. There's $150 for the non-GPS version. Main benefits of GPS is you can get an idea of what your actual location is, which is obviously good, but you can also get speed and things like that. If that matters to you, it's $50 more. It's $199. So basically there's a little white bobber one, and that one is the no GPS. There's a blue one, and that is the with GPS.
You can also mark your waypoints when you have the GPS version, and then you actually get down within 1 foot of accuracy in terms of like bottom contour and all that kind of stuff.
They do have an app, obviously, because you have to have a way of reading this out. So if you go to the App Store, if you want to check your own reviews and see what other people are saying about it, you can just go into whatever app store you have, if you're Android or iPhone, and it's called the Garmin Striker Cast app. So go check that out. I used it, again, for a couple days. There's a few different settings that you can change in there that are going to make fish pop a little bit more or less, but it is basic 2D sonar. So it's like the most basic type of like classic sonar. You're picturing it in your mind right now. The blues, reds, and yellows.
It is coming in color though.
It is color. It's not black and white, but yeah, you can essentially get an idea of what the structure is around you. One big thing to call out with the Garmin Striker Cast is it doesn't seem, as far as our research has come to show, to have a mount like the one we showed you from the Deeper. A lot of folks that I came across on the interwebs were saying they just kind of like drag it next to their kayak. I didn't have it long enough to test it with the kayak. I fished it from the bank. So in our opinion, this would be like the true castable sonar. Like, it's just castable. That's the only way you would use it. One cool feature of it though, to call out a pro, would be that it has a flasher, which means for my ice fishing folks,
it's live.
You basically dig a hole and it floats, so you just set it in the water and then you fish a hole right next to it. So for ice fishing people, kind of a cool option. Again, for $150 to $199, like you have technically ice fishing sonar. Like,
now we've
all in one.
And we've called this out. So you get a lot of flexibility with the castable options. You get a ton of flexibility with the Deeper because you can also mount it to the side of kayak really easily with a prefab option for you. They're a little bit more expensive than some of the other models we're going to talk about. as like a base model, but there's some things you don't have to buy. So you don't have to buy a battery. These are rechargeable. You just plug them in. They have their own internal battery, and then you have your phone battery. So, and then you don't really need any kind of mounting. You can just hold your phone if you'd like to. Now, if you want to mount that, a phone holder, we'll say anywhere from like $20 to $50, depending on what type and model you get, like the Yak Tech being on the high end for $50. But there's
you can get a powered wireless charging one from Yak Power,
which is what I use, and it works really, really good. You can have your phone be charging while you're using the app, which is a huge benefit. You can easily get 6 hours of full-time use from your phone battery, depending on your phone model, but definitely get 10 plus hours out of the actual unit itself when it's fully charged. So I think overall, the ability to use it from the bank, ability to use it from the kayak, 3D mapping or really quality 2D mapping, and then you do get GPS with the app, which is huge. So pros and cons there on the castables. I think that's good on castables.
That's pretty good on castables.
That is the rundown. Let's get into some of the more fixed options that have a little more componentry and are a little more like an actual standard unit that you've seen before and then what we reviewed before.
So real quick, just so you understand the category of sonar that we were in, it kind of goes castable sonar, 4-inch, and then you have 5s and 7-inchers where they switch that landscape design, add a couple more features. Then typically you make another technology jump with a 9-inch, and then you make another technology jump when you get into the 10+ inchers.
One thing to think about before we get into all the different models of the 4-inch, one thing to call out is we're talking about anywhere from $120 to $180 for these different models and what you can get and what transducer, blah, blah, blah. That's not the total all-in cost, though. You still have to get a 12-volt battery, and that has a cost to it. Like even a baseline battery is going to be $50-$60 for like that's the minimum expectation with no wiring.
$200 for waterproof Naquas.
Yep, absolutely. So you're going to add some cost there. You might even double the cost of your unit right off the bat. You also need something to mount the transducer. If you're in a kayak, we'll show you some options that we think are budget friendly, but you do have to have some sort of arm to either cast it over the side or you need something to mount it to the bottom of your kayak. Usually that means drilling holes, which means a hull pass-through kit or something like that. So just keep in mind you do need to mount it, and you do need a battery, and that automatically is added to your either 120 or 180, somewhere in that price range.
So for today's video, because it's budget sonars, we're sticking to the 4-inchers, right? Keep it simple.
And that's because once you go to the 5-inch, anything once it starts to go landscape, like
it's
sideways,
plus $100 more.
It's going to be $350 is usually the baseline price. And that doesn't include mapping cards or anything else. So we're scrapping all that because you can get a ton of functionality out of these ones, and they're all sub $200. So let's get into those. I'd say let's start with the one that probably has
this one.
No, not that one. That has the least amount of features from what we've seen and what we've experienced, and that's going to be the Lowrance Eagle 4. So that is I'll put a picture of it up right here. But
it looks like this.
That is the vertical version. They all are about the exact same screen size, and they all have the same kind of profile of like almost like a handheld, like a chunky cell phone. And they all do come with mounting equipment, and they all do come with a transducer. And usually it's going to be their baseline, least expensive transducer. So on the Lowrance, really, it's kind of crazy how basic that they really are. Now the Eagle 4.
Hello,
sir.
Fish.
Are you on a corded phone inside of your phone?
Phones have been this big in the past.
That's right.
I don't know if anybody knows that.
I don't know if you knew this.
I don't know if you knew this. This was a Nokia.
Yeah.
I was playing.
Remember the slider?
Snake blocks.
Sidekick? Heck yeah, it was.
Heck yeah.
Oh my
the
God.
slider.
Yeah. You remember
that was the coolest thing around.
Those phones with like the stylus, but they were also supposed to be like your calendar and everything?
Palm Pilots?
That's the Palm Pilot.
Palm Pilot
looked exactly like that.
It had a scroll wheel, and you were like, "Oh dang,
I am cool.
I got a scroll wheel, dog."
You were not cool.
You were not.
But I think from the Eagle 4, $120. It is. We call it the $120 model. So the Humminbird and the Garmin have a $120 model that's very comparable, but they also have an upgrade within the 4-inch that's $180 that gets you some more features. I have not seen that from Lowrance yet. The next one that goes to $350, and that is the Hook Reveal series, which I have used before and I've owned before.
Extensive usage knowledge.
But we're not going to get into that. That's a different saga for a different day. But if you look at this 4, the Eagle 4, you're just getting downscan. I mean, that's basically it. It has dual beam, which is like sort of the higher end model of transducer beaming that they have. So, but that is their lowest model. That is their standard. So really you're just getting down imaging. So no mapping, no waypoints, None of that kind of stuff. It's literally just the down scan for 120 bucks. Now,
Slim and trim.
Slim and trim. Now, one thing to call out, it is $120. So if all you need is down scan, we don't want to take this away as an option for you. And if you like the Lowrance menu, which I think a lot of this comes down to, I would go to a place and just kind of scroll through the menu and be like, you know, live, like go to a Bass Pro Shops or Cabela's and just say like, I just need to see the interface. The interface for me has always been one of the differentiators. Now, when you go up a little bit, you get the Piranha 4, and that comes with they have a cheaper version, a $120 version that is, I say, comparable, almost identical to what the Lowrance Eagle 4 has.
It's the same. It's just ugly as hell. It looks like this.
It's not gorgeous.
Not that that matters that much.
No,
like,
but they do call it out. They're like modern design, and you're like,
it ain't.
What? Modern for what year? And so
hands down, ugliest fish finder.
Again, preference.
If that matters.
It may not. It shouldn't. But it's
matters
fact.
to me.
And so when
I want to look cool, not like a dork.
So when you go up to the $180 model of the Piranha, you start to get some GPS functionality, which means your accuracy is going up, and also you get some sort of waypoint saving. So now I can maybe save some waypoints. And then, yeah, it is.
And these are all like chart as you go maps. Garmin's the same way.
Yep.
This is not like Navionics installed on this thing. You're not adding memory
There's no
cards.
card. There's no card, because usually you can pay
You
80 bucks and have the card included, and you get Navionics already built in for almost every single inland lake that you go to. And then you can graph as you go as well to add to that. But with Navionics for 80 bucks or 100 bucks, you can have that card built in. Now,
but you can see the lakes and stuff. With
when
this,
you get there,
you can't. This is just a big yellow canvas, and it just shows dotted line of where you went.
Yep.
And then your position is a little boat down there with the nav lights, and you just find your spot.
But it does have tracking now. So now with the GPS,
track.
you can say like, well, where did I go? Did I check the east side of the lake or the west side of the lake?
And you follow the line, and you're the little boat guy, and you can get there.
Yep.
You just can't see like the lake around you.
You can't see contours, bottom contours, anything like that. You don't get that, and that's the biggest difference. One of the biggest differences between the $180 4-inch units, and then once you go upgrade to a 5-inch landscape,
you can see a true map.
That's where you get the actual mapping capabilities. You can get the Navionics, you can map as you go, and all that sort of stuff.
So that's really it for the Humminbird and Lowrance. Also, spoiler alert, we haven't used them that much. We've used the Hook Reveal a ton with the Lowrance, but Humminbird, you had previous models in the 5 and 7
I had
inch.
the old Helix.
We never really had the 4s,
Nope.
so we're kind of going off of our experience there as well as reviews that we've seen online or what other people's opinions have been on those.
Yep.
But they're certainly there, and we want you to know that they exist.
Definitely.
Then we go to the Garmin, and this is the one that converted me to 4-inch sonars. I actually used this when we were in BC. This was
BC being British Columbia, out in the ocean.
Yeah, the place that's cool.
That is cool.
With all the otters that are your friends.
Hey,
and they like to wave to you.
shout out to Sea Otter Lodge. If you're looking for the adventure of a lifetime, Sea Otter Lodge is probably British Columbia, Vancouver is the coolest place that you can imagine.
But anyways, this was set up on one of the Vibe Shearwaters that was there in their little pod system. And that's where we get into, okay, you got this thing. Where do we put it? What do we do with it? There's a lot of options there. So we've kind of talked price real quick on the Garmin. It's a little bit different. It's closer to the $180, $200 range. They have like 4 or 5 different versions of this thing. This one specifically is the Vivid CV, and that is, in my opinion, the best option of those. And it goes on sale. I got it for under $180. It was actually like $175 or something like that.
That's awesome.
Shipped Amazon Prime to my door. It was great. So let's take a look at features on the Garmin Striker 4 real quick, and then we'll look at mounting options and battery options and basically setups that you could do for this, the Humminbird, and the Lowrance. They would all apply to that. But you can see the menu option there. It's super simple. This is a Garmin with no touchscreen. Ooh, weird. Touchscreens are nice, but you don't need it. So you just have simple up and down, left to right arrows on that. You go and you pick your display. They have some predetermined combos as well as just the clear view, which is my favorite. So I usually just go over to my clear view and then you just hit the check mark there. And now we're running clear view. You've got your transducer set up down here. It's also staticky right now because it's running. Yeah, but just super simple menu. That's kind of the name of the game with the 4-inch models is you get the simplicity. You can see the mapping option, quick draw map down there. You can split screen it with a few different options. Split screen on a 4-inch vertical screen is a pain in the butt. Like, it's hard to see anything, but it works. You can use it. And then you got like your traditional split screen and stuff like that. You see the flasher on there as well, so you could use this for ice fishing, all sorts of stuff. I think it's feature rich. I had the chance to use it now. I don't know, 10, 12 times, somewhere around that, between British Columbia and now having this set up back at home. This is what I use on my new canoe.
Let's talk mounting though, and cost, because you do have, like we talked about earlier, you got to get a battery and you have to mount the freaking thing. So
there's a lot going on here.
This is one option if you don't have a pod system inside of your kayak, like a Bonafide or a Vibe.
So this is the Yak Attack cell block. With the cell block, you actually have room for oh God, it shot me. So you have a unique design to the battery on this. So this one is actually from Yak Attack. This is a Naqua battery, but it's designed lengthwise like this, so it fits into this block here. So you would have to get this specific setup if you wanted to use the cell block. That is not the only way to mount this thing. There's a trillion other ways you can mount this thing as well. This is just cool because it has 3 options in terms of track mounting. So you just have to run 1 T-bolt. You just pick the spot that sits best on the edge of your kayak, mounts to a track. It's very simple on and off with that. If you have a top load track, you will have to fully unscrew it and take it off, just a heads up, but it's track mountable and that is pretty cool. And then you add in the Switchblade swing arm, and that is what your transducer goes on, as you can see right there. And then it actually also has...
It's a bigger deal than you think. Much bigger deal than you think.
This holds all of your transducer wire, which is really cool. Comes with zip ties for that, and the zip ties actually screw down, so it keeps it completely out of the way, and you have no issues. And then it also like zip ties all the way up and down the Switchblade there. So great cable management system, I would say.
Transducers always have longer cables because they're designed for boats. So you usually get about 15 feet of cable. Hiding 15 feet of cable in a small kayak or canoe is a pain in the you-know-what, and you just want to avoid that if you can.
So they sell kits. If you go to Yak Attack's website, just go check it out. There's cell block kits. You can get the cell block itself. You can get the Switchblade arm by itself, which is another option that we should get to right now. Yeah. So if you do the cell block with the battery, you're easily in over $200.
Yep.
With the Switchblade itself, like if you just do the swing arm, the side arm there.
Because you could just buy this arm instead of this. So if you didn't want to, like, this is nice for moving from kayak to kayak, moving from side to side if you like to change sides and that sort of thing. So this gives you a lot of flexibility and it makes it all one unit. If you don't care so much about that, you got one kayak or one boat or whatever, and you're just like, well, I want to save some money here if I can. So you don't want to buy the specific battery, you don't want to buy this box. You don't have to. You can just buy an arm like this one and mount it on a track to the side of your kayak. Mount this on a track to wherever you want within your kayak or your boat, and then just buy a separate 12-volt lithium or non-lithium ion battery, whatever battery you want, the cheapest one you can find, and then you can save a little more money there.
There's a bunch of them out there. Scotty makes one. Obviously, Yak Attack we have here.
I would go with the Yak Attack. It's much better than the Scotty. I'm sorry, I've used the Scotty for years. I didn't love it. It's a lot more rigid. This one has a lot more flexibility. That's just my opinion.
A lot of joints.
Buy whatever one that makes sense for you, but I think this one is superior to the Scotty. Also with the Scotty, you get kind of locked into mounting with their mounting system. So that's actually another one of the reasons. I would just go with the Yak Attack. It's more general and is very high quality.
Yep, and then you can mount the Garmin head unit wherever you want. So one thing I'd point out is if you have a kayak with a pod system, I'm looking at Bonafide and Vibe.
For now.
For now.
Do you have a pod system? That means you can mount this to that pod. And the pod is like simply just like a removable component of the kayak. So you can dump the battery in there. You can mount your transducer there. It's kind of right in the center in a console. And that little console just unbuckles and comes out with you.
All in one.
Just like this, but it already came with your kayak. But if you don't have one, you just mount it wherever you want. You can take the screen off if you so choose for transit or whatever.
Yeah, and you can track mount this. I mean, I've actually got it on a track mount in this setup. So you have like a little mini track mountable option from Ram and Yak Attack there. So you can mount that head unit wherever you want. You don't necessarily have to drill holes in it. If you do, you can add a Yak Attack through hull option somewhere on the kayak. And then you can store your battery on the inside. So you could go with that cheap battery Paul was talking about earlier. If you want to just store that in the hull, make a little battery tray, you're good to go. Or you can get a nice fancy battery like we prefer from Naqua, for example, and then you have that Naqua battery in there. But the Naqua also doesn't have to go in the hull because it has a nice little Velcro option.
And it's waterproof.
And it's waterproof. Grab that camera right there.
I'll sure do that.
So for example, here's my 10 amp from Naqua. It has this huge Velcro strap that can wrap around pretty much anything. So if you have like a captain's bridge on your kayak, or even just a rail, or even just the seat that you're sitting on with a tubular design, then you can just Velcro that anywhere you can find a spot, essentially.
Or you can just bungee it, or you can just let it float around, whatever you want.
Throw it in the water and just hold on to it, I guess.
Jesus, take the wheel. All I'm saying is that
it's pronounced Jesus.
Jesus, take the wheel. So for me, I think like when we go through and we kind of rank these in our in our favorites, I think the most budget friendly option that gets you the absolute most for your money and is going to work the way that you want it is going to be the Garmin Striker 4. And then I would say don't go the cell block because you can save anywhere from $50 to like $300 depending on your setup and what battery you get.
Especially if you have a 12-volt battery already, like.
So just buy.
It won't fit in the cell block.
Just buy.
I'll tell you that.
I mount the transducer to your kayak directly. You can avoid this sidearm. Zip tie your cable. Just kind of hide it wherever you can, and then have a separate battery somewhere else, and just mount this to your kayak.
Track mount it.
As far as dollars, like to get the absolute most per dollar, I think that wins the day.
Most features at relatively similar price to
100%.
the deeper Max.
Yes.
You know, less the sidearm and paying for the app and all that stuff.
Yep.
So you pretty much come out winning.
You're around $300, I think, for the full setup. Again, depends on what battery you buy and all that. So I think that's the most. I think the second most is probably going to be the deeper Pro +2 or the deeper Max. I think, again, for the dollar, you get the ability to bank fish. You don't have to deal with a whole bunch of
Portability.
stuff. You get a lot of portability.
Yep.
You get full mapping capabilities, like actual mapping, which I think is what kind of takes it over the edge for me. And then I do think while the app can be glitchy at times, I think it's a very small problem. I've only had it happen 2 or 3 times, and it immediately catches back up pretty quickly. So that will be my number 2. Number 3 is actually this exact same unit plus all the stuff. So you pay a little more with the cell block, but you get
probably close to 400.
Yeah, it's probably close to
350,
450. But you're getting a whole bunch of stuff that includes your battery, that includes your mounting, and that makes it really flexible still. And then you still don't have to worry about like, oh, my phone battery's like dying today, I have to charge it or whatever. So I think that's
all-in-one portable system.
Yeah. And then it goes down from there. I think the Humminbird is where I would go next. I think your ability to go up to the $180, I do think it's very much worth it for the GPS capabilities. And then we get the Eagle 4 at $120. If they had a $180 version, it would be tied for me with the Humminbird. I put them both just on tech quality. I just put them below Garmin. So if it's within $10 or $20, I'm going the Garmin route. That's our opinion.
Bang for your buck right there in terms of just features and crispness.
And then the Garmin Castables probably last for me. I think that does have some nice features. I like the fact that you can adjust the refresh rate is huge, honestly. But yeah, I just think that it's not necessarily meant for kayak fishermen as well. So I think that takes that off the table, and you lose a lot for me on that one. Even though we do love Garmin, that one's going to be my bottom of the list.
You wouldn't tie it to a string and just let it like drag
dangle
around
behind me? No, I wouldn't. I can. I already smell problems from 1,000 miles away.
That's it, you guys. That's what we got for the budget sonars. Hopefully this was helpful for you, especially if you're considering ways to find the fish without just your eyeballs.
Or find the savings.
Or find the savings. There's lots of options out there. Hopefully this video helps you narrow down those options. That's kind of what we want to do here on this channel. We are the Aggressively Average Anglers, and our job is to test everything in fishing. That's what we've made our job. Might have been a mistake. We bit off more than we could chew. We're doing the best we can to try everything we possibly can to give you the best possible advice so that you can make the best possible choice in terms of how you spend your money. So if you think that sounds cool, be subscribed, smash a like, ring the notification bell, all that cool stuff, and then come back for another video, which we'll see you on then. Okay, bye. Bye. Is it just like a word salad outro? Word salad outro, go.
Fine. See ya.